So in this video, I'm going to have a closer look at the MJX HyperGo 14210. That's the 1/14th scale truggy. So I've shown you in another video all the parts that are included, which there is quite a bit. So in this one, I'm just going to have a little bit of a closer look at the car. If you want more detail again, then of course look at my full review on QuadifyRC.com, and I'll put the link to that down in the bottom in the description. So oil-filled shocks on this one, as I mentioned before, it does come with a spare set of harder springs. That's for all four. So adjustable collars to change the ride height, but the way the geometry is set on this is actually a fairly decent clearance on it anyway. They're using their standard MJX heavy-duty drive shafts. So the front ones are CVDs, which you're probably familiar with. Now these tyres look really good. Nice big wide offset. The compound of the tyre, it's probably a medium. I think that's actually going to grip really well, and based on that pattern it should wear pretty well too. Yeah, same size on all four, being a monster truck. Servo, you can see, is mounted upside down to make sure it takes up minimal space front and back, so they can fit this larger 2S 3000 milliamp hour LiPo battery. It's quite a nice looking battery, so there actually should be room for a better size, some decent size options. So they've got the front spar that runs front to rear, that creates the torsion, so that's a pretty good stiff body. Mounted on top of that, I've opened one of these before. They are sealed, so it should be, I'll call it water resistant rather than waterproof, but they're actually fairly well done. Discrete speed controller. I'll check out later on if this can do 3S, but I usually stick with the standard one, which is 2S. Adjustable turnbuckles for the steering. I'll have a look later on. I'm not sure if those upper ones are adjustable for camber or not. It's not too big of a deal. So this being the larger 1/14th scale, runs a 2853 motor, which is a 28mm diameter can, 53 millimeters long, brushless of course. So if it's got a fan mounted on top with a heatsink. The brushless motor is 4400 kilowatt, which is 4400 kV, which is a really good kV rating for 2S on these cars. A good balance of speed and efficiency. Shocks are longer in the rear, same with adjustable collars. Now the bodies of these are actually plastic instead of metal like on the 14209, but they have got a much longer stroke. Being it's truggy, it's got a rear mounted wing. It's actually fairly solid. Shock tails are plastic, which is fine for this size, and of course being a truggy, they're fully protected. Now this is really interesting. I only just noticed on this car. So MJX are known for like really chunky drive shafts, but these are something else. These ones in the rear have a telescoping, I can't get a good shot, sorry. They have a telescoping drive shaft. So they're super chunky, universal joint on the outer and on the inner, and it looks like it'll be held onto the diff with a grub screw. So quite a nice feature, and I'd expect them to be pretty solid. Like I said, nice big ground clearance, if we have a look at that. So there's probably a bit you can play with. Dampening's fairly good, so the shock oils is okay. I'll probably open up the gearbox a wee bit to check out what the final drive gear ratio is, but according to the detail, all the gears are steel, and we've seen that inside the MJX ones before. I know some people have reported that the steel gears aren't very strong, but I think they've changed this. The 1/14th scale cars seem to be much more strongly built. And that's it really. Oh yeah, lights in the front. So that's controlled by a genuine discrete third control channel in the receiver. So the receiver's an actual proper receiver unit in there. I think that'll do for now. As I said, check out the review on my website for a bit more detail. I'll leave that in the links below. And there's a few other videos that I've put just to have a look up close up at the car, and then of course when I have it running.